So the question is asked, is capital punishment biblical, or can we find capital punishment in the Bible? Well, let us give some evidence here. I remember early on being a corrections officer, and there was a certain pastor who was a corrections officer, and he used to tell me, he said, Ash-Shakoor, if they ever needed anyone to pull the switch, I'd be the first in line. Now, while this was confusing and I didn't understand at the time, there is talks of capital punishment in the Bible. Let us start by looking at Genesis chapter 9 verses 5 through 6, and you can read that at the bottom of your screen. Now, the first thing we must do is we must see and recognize here that this predates the Mosaic law. In Exodus 21 and in Deuteronomy 19, it also speaks to the fact of those famous words, a life for a life. Therefore, a person that is known as a murderer conducts contempt against the very person that is created in the image of God, as well as creates contempt against God himself. In the New Testament, we find Jesus speaking to this act of capital punishment. If you remember that Jesus says, let him without sin cast the stone first. We also find in John 19:11 where Jesus acknowledges the act of capital punishment. A little further on in Acts 25:41, we also find that the Apostle Paul, while standing in front of the Roman governor Fetus, also acknowledges this subject of capital punishment. And let us not forget, in Luke 23:41, we find that one of the thieves on the cross confessed his sins to Jesus and therefore was repenting for his sins. Now, to bring this all home in conclusion, we look at Romans 13 and we find something here that is very astounding and profound, pointing to capital punishment in the Bible. And that's in Romans 13. It shows that in order to eradicate the equity for someone that has created murder, the law of the sword must be applied. So we can see here that capital punishment was addressed in the Bible. And Jesus says, let no one commit this offense unless they contradict the laws of Moses. God bless you, and remember, we serve a just and loving God.